Hello? Yes. Thank you so much, Giambattista, for making it. We were all very worried, but you are here. It is fantastic. As you know, Giambattista is one of the very few Italian designers based in Paris, where he shows his collection, you know, his pret-a-porter collection and his couture. Actually, it's one of the very last one arrived in the world of couture, in the panorama of couture, accepted by and invited by the Chambre syndicale de la mode of Paris. And of course it's from Rome, that I think it's a very important element in Giambattista's creation, because he's always done something very Roman. I mean, we got another Roman example here with Delfina front row. But before we go and talk with Giambattista, I'd love to show his movie that we're going to watch, that is all about him actually. It's all about inspiration and what is behind these fantastic creations from fashion. I hope you enjoyed it as I enjoyed it again, to see it. I mean, I could see it for so many times. It gives all the passion, the colors, the sexiness, and the life of a city like Rome. How did you start working in fashion? I mean, how did you know, of course we can see all that, your inspirations for the collection very widely, but how did you start, why were you so interested in clothes?
I was a very lucky kid. I was passionate about it when I was really young. I mean, I was probably 7 years old, and I was very lucky because, you know, when you have a passion so young, it's something so strong. So, you know, I didn't decide anything different from my passion. That's it.
Okay. And how did you end up working? Because Giambattista started his career working with one of the most incredible geniuses of Italian fashion, that is Roberto Capucci. How was that experience? I mean,
it was my first experience. We can say, not the first love that we never forget. I mean, it's something that he really marked me, like, in a very strong way. His exercise to experiment on volumes, on colors, the quality of materials and everything. It was something, you know, I was 20 years old, 21 years old, and really it stayed stuck in my eyes what I saw at that moment, you know.
But I was, you know, working with some like him that I suppose must have been such an overwhelming, I mean, I don't know if you had done any experience before, but then all of a sudden being there with all this madness of that your fashion tour could be.
You know, it was something, I don't know, it was something that he was part of my, I found it myself over there. I had like the occasion to cross this experience in my life, but it was an extraordinary experience, like other extraordinary experiences that I haven't. I mean, I was very lucky. That's why I work in ready-to-wear and haute couture, because I was very lucky to work a lot with the you know, masters and atelier, back to the masters. So it was extremely interesting each time, you know, to work with somebody with such a strong point of view, such a personal vision, like Roberto Capuccio, like Oyo, grandmothers, yes, and sisters, you know, the family, you know, that they have such a strong character, such a strong personality on the fashion identity and fashion vision, with back of them like a fabulous atelier, so artisanal side of making the things, experimental side of making the things, and then I had experience an extremely beautiful one with Emanuele Ungaro too, so with the atelier on the back. So I had this. I was very lucky and very spoiled to work, you know, with people that in France it's really beautiful the way they call them. It's créateur. It's not like fashion designer. It's something different. It's créateur. It's somebody that really molds the body, really mold the fabrics. He really, you know, he really works in a three-dimensional way. So all of them, whatever they work with furs or they works with fabrics or soft fabrics, or, you know, this is like the big difference, you know.
Were you a rebel assistant, or was it?
I was what?
A rebel assistant, rebellious assistant. You know, sometimes
I wasn't really. I'm not. I mean, rebellion. It's no. I was a very sincere one. So if I had to say something, I would say. But it's not the rebellion that I'm looking in life. It's more a research. No.
Yeah.
I didn't. You know. You want to the rebellion has to be inside yourself. You don't go to rebel in other houses. No, I think the rebellion is really like the kind of research that you do in a certain age. I think I had a big rebellion inside myself for many years when I was really young, and this rebellion built it up my identity. But it was with myself. It wasn't like rebellion to the people you were working with. Not at all. I mean, when you work for somebody else, you want to interpret and support and to translate the identity of the other one. I mean, I think I'm very respectful, by the way.
So after Capucci, you went to work for Fendi, then little bit of experience with Crizia,
yeah.
And then happened in Paris with Emanuele Ungaro.
Yeah.
How was the jump from Italy to Paris? I mean, was?
It was something very natural because for me it was a jump between Rome and Paris. It wasn't a jump between Italy and France. I always say I'm not Italian but Roman. I always say I work in Paris. I never say France because it's really like two different identities. So it was something that already in Fendi there was these flavors of Paris because there was this very, as you say, very strong link between Fendi and Karl Lagerfeld. So there was this kind of French, Roman and French kind of attitude in the house, in the way of making the fashion shows, in the way of working with the atelier. This kind of attitude of maison, no, that you can find only in Paris. So it was something that I was really looking for, and I was dreaming about all these like maison. Like the Maison Christopher Balenciaga or Monsieur Yves Saint Laurent with his own maison, la Maison Ungaro, la Maison, and this was my research. And then one day I decided to do mine.
Exactly. How did you feel? I mean, like all of a sudden, I said, okay, your experience was always working for someone else, so always working under an umbrella and almost feel secure because however things go right or wrong, you're there, but. Just starting a label by yourself in Paris, being Italian, sometimes French can be a bit difficult with the non-French people. How did you feel? I mean, what was your driving force?
But first of all, because I think I'm the first Italian after Gianfranco Ferré, that he had his moment at Dior, the first Italian of the new generation of Italian. Then there was Stefano Pilati, Riccardo Tisci, Antonio Marras, and a lot of Italian like around, but that was the very first one. So I made it the Italians to be accepted in Paris. So I did the victory.
Yeah,
so
a pioneer. So.
Yeah, the moment that I was working at Ungaro, in the house of Ungaro, and then one day I decided and I said, you know what, I don't want to translate anymore any other languages. I don't want to. I want just to talk my language. I had like a big imaginary in my mind, and I wanted just to pull it out and to develop. And it was really funny because I started to do my first collection.
It was in 2005, right? So
it was in 2005, and it was
10 years ago.
This year is going to be 10, turning 10.
We have to celebrate.
But it was really funny because it was the moment that there was like a very dangerous economy, the worldwide economy, and when I decided to step in solo and to start to build my own things, everybody was thinking that I was totally crazy, and but actually, it's in difficult moments that you have the best opportunity. I really believe in it, and I really believe that without risking, you don't get anything, and risk they keep you young. Yeah. If you continue to keep risking, it's something that you keep being young all your life. So it was very important for me, I was saying, if I don't do it now, I'm never gonna do it. Yeah. And I built it up like the first collection. It was around bringing back the cultural side of making clothes or of making fashion. That it was the moment that I started to do my collection. It was a moment in fashion where there was more. It was more important the label more than the silhouette.
Yes.
So there was not anymore the sounds of the scissors, no, cutting extraordinary fabrics, and there was not anymore like the extraordinary kind of idea. So something that it was unique, something that it was luxury. It was more about how can I say luxury fashion houses doing like duty-free product, but there was not really the luxury of making clothes. So I pulled it out this idea of bringing the knowledge of all my years in haute couture houses and bringing this knowledge to the, as you say, to the fastness of the ready-to-wear, and try to really mold the two things together. And this was my first collection. So when I put the collection on the podium, everybody was thinking that I was crazy. But then right away, you know, it was a big success in a customer point of view and in a press point of view, and
because I mean, you really broke
celebrities' point of view, and it was really funny because it was something new, and when there is something new,
you broke the ice going back to almost like an old-fashioned silhouette, if you want, you know, the very feminine.
So it goes back to the roots,
going in a new direction, going back to the old roots in a way.
Because I always believe that if you want to create the future, you have to know exactly what used to be the past in a profound way. So it's very important. I mean, as you said, the cultural side of everything. It's very important to think about the future, to create like the future.
Do you still remember how many looks did you have on your first show?
I remember the pieces. I remember I had probably like 45 pieces, and I did a show with them. But you know,
God, must have been so nerve-wracking. Anyway, now Giambattista, after 10 years, we have to celebrate it this year, no?
Yeah.
You know, the silhouette, as you could see from flicking through these images, that is actually from his book.
This is like a little bit like my
inspiration,
my personality now. There is like really like a balance between France, between Paris and Rome.
But you know, the film on Rome was very much telling us a story
it's
about
part
you.
of it. I think the film on Rome is not really Rome. It's more like the way of thinking of somebody that he loved the Roman women in a fabulous way, like Fellini. So I really love him. I really love his vision, his vision around the Romans, his vision that he wasn't Roman at all. And the vision, the love that he was spending for women. You know, I do really fashion dedicated to real women, you know, and I always love the idea of these women to be in love. So like you see even like Antonioni with Monica Vitti, I mean, there is always this kind of this kind of as you say strong identity of women, and there is always this shadow of this man, of this love story, of potential love story next to this woman. So I really love to participate in happy moments and to share happy moments with all the women. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. And you created an incredible.
And then there is a lot of Italian art. There is a lot. This is Alighiero Boetti or Schifano. Or there is a lot of artists like Francesco Clemente. Like there is a lot of link with art too.
Yeah, it's I'm very impressed, you know, actually in these 10 years how Giambattista has created a huge amount of followers of all these old young ladies, as I call it, you know, la jeunesse dorée of Europe, because everyone wants to wear Giambattista. I mean, how do you relate to them? I mean, you spend time with them because you seem to get it just right.
I always loved the idea. There is somebody that he really do, and he did, and is going to do all this. A label that he do really well. It's Chanel. I always was thinking that it was brilliant because you can be the daughter, the mother, the grandmother, and you can wear the same jacket in a different way, the same bag in a different way. You know, I always loved the idea that you bring items, you bring a style identity, but then it's interpreted by the final customer that is going to interpret it. So I really believe in a philosophy of a woman, like in a point of view of a woman, but I don't care if she's large, short, tall, skinny, older, younger. It's her point of view, it's her mind, her vision. So for me, sometimes I'm having dinner with Bianca Brandolini and Lee Radsville, and one is 80 and the other one she's 20 something, and for me they're exactly the same age. I mean, it's just a point of view that I'm interested in.
Yeah. And Giamba, you you launched in 2012 your couture line.
Yeah.
And it was from many people seen like a pure madness or vanity project or absolutely out of date. You know, there were times where people said haute couture is gonna die.
Yeah.
Is he absolutely crazy in launching it right now? And actually you did the right thing because you were just at the beginning of the return of haute couture.
I did the beginning, by the way.
You did, yeah.
Because, no, it was funny because everybody was saying it's dead, and then John, it was the moment that, you know, they stopped the relationship with Christian Dior, and then Donatella Versace, she was not showing anymore, and there were just probably one or two shows of real proper haute couture in Paris. So I said to myself, I had a lot of requests of personal customers, and I said, you know what, I have a responsibility, you know, I learned a lot, and now I want to give it back. So I put it out this idea, and everybody was thinking he's totally mad and crazy. And I put it out this idea, and I bring it back, the haute couture. The year after Dolce & Gabbana, they started Alta Moda. And then Donatella Versace, she came back to Paris with Atelier Versace. Then Victor Rolf, they started to do haute couture. And then, you know, many other people, and then Raf Simons arrived at Dior, and then now it's like the most trafficked like fashion week of the year.
Yeah.
Because it's not about, you know, it's about the art of making things, and so it's the you know, there is a beautiful thing. There is an institution in Paris that is called Arts with the S, et Métier. So it's not art, but it's arts in plural. So if it's gonna die, I think, really the DNA of what it's making clothes. Yeah. It's going to die really the cultural side. It's going to die the sense, the nourishment, the you know it's such
it's the best moment.
A great atelier of proposing new shapes, new fabrics, new. And it's experimental side of fashion, and it's more so important. I mean, so. But it's not about this. It's about the art of making jewelry, the art of making. So it's amazing because the haute couture fashion week now, it's alive back again. It's alive not about just clothes, but it's about the art of extraordinary.
Yeah, yeah. But also, suppose in a moment now where there is so much going on and so much offer of clothes from everywhere, and, you know, bombarded constantly by new brands coming out every day, new designers. I suppose it's almost like the reverse trend is going to something more bespoke and more couture. How do you see this?
I see that this is a moment that there is a lot of artists, that there is a lot of everything. So, you know, the most important thing is just to be so unique, so personal, so different, and for sure you're going to have your group of customers, group of people, you're going to have your identity. You never have to be a follower, you have to be a leader. They like it, they don't. Of course, if you are a leader, there is people that is going to love you and people that is going to hate you.
And coming to, you know, having come to almost all your shows, you know, from when you first started with the Pret-a-Porter, you know, some of your creations, the Pret-a-Porter, are actually almost couture. Where is the fine line
at the very beginning?
Where does Pret-a-Porter in Giambattista Valli stops and when there's couture start?
At the very beginning it was this, and then it came, you know, this necessity really to divide it two things, on the art of making clothes with the atelier, and the other one, the art of making industrial design, as Joe Ponti used to do for furniture. Or so it's really the two things. So now the identity is very separate, and now there is even the third identity, that is the Giamba line.
Giamba, yeah. The next question would have been going back to
that is like the sister line of Giambattista Valli. it's the more
And
friendly,
again,
fun.
exactly. Again, how Giambattista launched this. I hate saying diffusion line, but it's
No,
a
no,
small,
no, no,
it's
it's
a
like
smaller
a-
line called Giamba that is younger
It's not
and
a smaller
fresher.
line. It's big like the ready to wear, the other one. There are two ready to wear
But
lines.
why the need
It's
of
a
creating
little bit the
something
idea
else?
of two lines, but they're going to be it's two lines like the idea was Giambattista Valli. It's luxury. Luxury in the sense that it's sit luxury next to Chanel, next to Valentino, next to Dior, next to luxury labels. And I wanted to have another ready-to-wear label to sit next to other labels, next to, I don't know, Miu Miu, Stella McCartney, other labels, other
Okay.
floors, you know. So it's not, I really hate the idea of the second line. It's something that it doesn't exist anymore. If you want a second line, you can go to Zara, to H&M, to, you know, you can get them, it's even better. I just love the idea of something that it really came out from my necessity. You know, there is Rome, but there is the years that I used to live in New York or in London, or you know, years of more underground, more young, of my more underground side that I wanted to express with another collection.
And it's working.
I pulled it out the other one.
You could do another one, okay. John, and when you, having so many collections, you know, now the world of fashion is not only made by the two collections here, you know, the spring, summer, fall, winter, but you have also the couture, and then all these other collections, you know, the cruise collection, pre-fall, high summer, and capsule here and there. How do you cope to do all that? I mean, how do you work?
You know, it's a never-ending story. You are on one and one. It's really amazing because one, it gives to you the input of the next one. Everything links. You know, you go from one to the other one. It's like a. I always say I write different chapters of the same book. So you know, it's like another piece of the puzzle that it goes one after the other one. Of course, you don't have to think of all of them at the same time. It's not you're going to panic. You know, so you just concentrate as AA on the 24 hours, and you just concentrate on what you have to do. But you know, one thing inspires you the next one. I always believe it in. The more you do, the less you do, in the sense that, you know, when you have a lot of things, I do even like Moncler, Gamme Rouge and all the things, you know, there is one thing that inspires you to the another one, or there is one thing that you want to do and you think this is not right, is right for the other one, so.
Yeah. Because it's funny, because I interviewed someone recently, and then she was telling me that this fashion designer, big fashion, Italian fashion house, she just said, long gone the days where, you know, we finished the fashion show, we came out for the ball, and then we went away for a month to Japan or to China to get inspired or whatever. Now, you know, you come exactly, you come out of it for the ball, and the day after you're already on the next thing. But don't you think you lose a bit of, I don't know, maybe a bit of creative mind?
I have to tell you something. I don't think you really need to travel. Of course you need to travel, but if you can travel even sitting and just thinking, you know. I don't think Walt Disney was traveling a lot, you know, and he was putting out like so many cartoons and so many people. But I think the most important thing is curiosity. You don't have to travel. The curiosity you can find you can find answers inside yourself, or you know, if you're curious, everything can comes to you. And of course, before they had a lot of more time. But before people was not so informed about fashion like now. You know, everybody knows about fashion now. Every woman, every man, every person is so so
aware of everything. I mean,
aware of and it's different. You know, I remember the time that there was no internet. I remember the time that there was no emails. I remember the time that there were no cell phones. So everything was different. So the fastness right now is another thing.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm not a nostalgic one, so I don't care. You know, sometimes people say, oh, you know, like Rome. Yesterday I was in Rome. Rome is not anymore this one, but who cares? You know, it's another thing. You have to see with another point of view. Yeah. You know, New York is not anymore after the 11th of September, but you know, it's another thing. You understand? you cannot be nostalgic, because the moment that you're nostalgic, you know, you're gonna trap on the past, and you're never going to, you know, evolve in the
keep on rolling, keep on going. And talking about the, you know, the level of information that everyone has got now, so we have, you know, you create the most beautiful haute couture, beautiful clothes, you know, in the old traditional. I love when you said the sound of the scissors on, you know, the fabrics. That is amazing, actually. But on the other side, you got this incredible mass. How do you say? You can inform about your creations through social media, for example. So you know, one goes to everyone, and one goes to a very
but the most important thing, you know, it's not to sell clothes. Of course, it's important because it makes the business. But the most important thing is, you know, to inspire people. I really believe in it. You know, I would love to see the biggest quantity of girls and women, you know, getting dressed in the look of Giambattista Valli. I don't care if it's Giambattista Valli or not. I mean, the most important thing is to inspire, or to inspire them. They have the money, they don't have the money to do it. It's not important if they do it with you. It's just the way to put together probably the same pieces but in a different way, and to give it to them, like the idea how to change their wardrobe with a lipstick or with something, you know, a new color, a new something. The way to put the things, you know, the proportion. I think fashion, the real one, is this. Then, you know, then there's people that really want to sell the clothes and make the business, but I'm much more interested to inspire people first. So the most important thing is, you know, to let them dream. And today there is nothing better for this to understand. For example, I think Instagram, it's like the most magic thing. You really understand what really people support and react with you, and you know, you can put the pictures and you understand how the people really react on it, on something else. And right now I'm really understanding what's the imaginary on the people of Giambattista Valli, that it's the biggest one, the most creative one, the most crazy one, the most unwearable one, but they want this because they want the dream.
And talking about your dream, and talking about actually one of the dreamiest of your dresses worn by Rihanna.
Yeah,
exactly. How was that reaction? I mean, you must be so happy to wear, you know, that a lot of celebrities wear it, or again,
myself, I love Rihanna, adore her, adore it. You know, the surprising things about her, I knew that she was wearing because she texted the minute after the show that she wanted to wear it. But the most amazing thing, I was extremely happy because I really appreciate her. But why? Because I think she's one of the very few real artists right now. She's not a business. Of course, she makes a huge business, but she's not interested really on that. She's an interpreter. She has her own personality. She's free. She's unexpected. She's always surprising the people. She plays. She's not the business. You know, she's not a formula. She's still like an artist, and this is like brilliant about her. And the way that she interpreted the dress, that it was really in the limit, because it could be ridiculous and it was like spectacular. It was just because, you know, she was almost like happy as a little girl wearing it, enthusiastic of wearing it. And she had this look that she almost jumped out of the shower with no makeup and nothing, just the hair attached, and she zipped up the dress and she was playing with the dress around.
There was a skirt pulled up, no?
No, it was a dress. It was a dress from the haute couture. So this is like the you know, the success of a dress. It's the final interpretation of the final woman. I mean, the dress, it can be beautiful and it can be totally grey, and another dress, it can be so and so, and then the personality of the woman can turn it like in fabulous. You know, I always say that I do 50% of the job. You know, I do clothes, but the clothes that empty apartment, empty houses, if a woman don't wear it.
And it's in your next. You know, you've always been so prolific on everything couture, Porta, now Giamba. I don't want to say what's next, because I don't know what's happening. But would you ever consider to do a makeup line? Because you always love women. You're always surrounded by
I'm
lots
doing
of
just at the
you
moment.
are?
I'm just doing. No.
I know you are.
I'm doing just doing a collector piece for the 10 years with MAC.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, we're going to launch it on July for the 10th anniversary, and there is this idea of dress your lips in Giambattista Valli. So this idea of if you really want to change your look, put like an unexpected colors on your lips, and you're gonna change totally your wardrobe. You don't have to spend any money with the clothes. They're just $20 for lipsticks, and that's it.
How many colors have you chosen?
5.
Those are the tones of brights.
Yeah, of course, my
your preferred color
and everything. Yeah.
Giambattista, it's been really nice to talk to you. Thank you so much for being here,
Thank you to you.
It was very inspiring. We must thank you very much for making it.
We'll wait for everybody.
Yes. Maybe there is some question from the
me.
audience, or if there is no questions, we can go. Is there any question? Everyone always gets so shy when you say the first question from the audience. Okay.
Perfect.
Perfect. We can go. Thank you. Bye.